Que lo que mi gente, welcome to the Monoplaza F1 podcast. As always, I'm your host, Emmy Vitre, and today I'm going to be covering the Canadian Grand Prix. Hey y'all, yes, once again, I am recording this super late. About almost a week later. Y'all have probably moved on past this. To be frank, this episode is mostly going to be me talking about my experience because, yes, I attended this race in person, and yes, it was a lot of fun. And if you see that my face is greasy, my forehead is greasy, no, you didn't. I'm still suffering the effects of being disrespected by the sun, aka I got a sunburn. I got sunburn so bad, dog. Oh, it was terrible. Anyways, so yes, we are going to be covering the Canadian Grand Prix. Originally, I was going to have somebody on, but their schedule is super busy, and we just kept making, hey, we can't record today, let's record tomorrow. No, how about today? How about it's okay. This is honestly my fault. Poor planning, procrastination, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Plus, the person who I was going to have on has a real job. I also have a real job, has a real job. And so, yeah, work comes first, the thing that pays you. I don't yet get paid for this. Maybe one day, that's okay. Just doing it for the love of the game, y'all. Yes, the love of the game. All right. So the Canadian Grand Prix first and foremost, congratulations to George Russell. Hey George, it's me. I'm giving you your props because it feels like every time George Russell wins, it is the least thing that's talked about. This time, Russell won, and they were hyping up my boy Andrea's first ever podium. Since it's my first race, you never forget your first. So I was there for the first ever F1 version of Andrea Kimi Antonelli's podium. So congratulations, P3. So that almost eclipsed it. Then it was Red Bull lodging a protest post race because George was supposedly driving erratically under the safety car. Of course, Mercedes was like, no, hey, Max tried to overtake under. Anyways, so that also distracted, but the biggest, and I released a video of that about this post race on the straight going into turn one at the race, which was kind of cool. By the way, actually, stay on track. The thing that people talked about the most post race was not the dub that George got, but Lando Norris's. I don't even know what you would call it. Some people will say it was a dumb move. Some people say, he had to do it because, of course, he had to make a move. For me, I just felt like it was so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary. Obviously, going into turn one, you want to have like the inside corner. They have been having a really nice battle coming out of that hairpin, or as the Kevin Claus would say, the airpin. Bad joke. That's a terrible joke. I'm sorry. Nobody get mad. Anyways, they had a great little battle coming out of the hairpin, through that chicane, all of that. By the way, Peep, Oscar Piastri's braking. That was amazing. They were basically side by side. Lando had the DRS. Then he inexplicably, or maybe not inexplicably, I guess I don't know what he thought Oscar was going to do. Right? Like, obviously, Lando, if you look at a picture, I'll probably post it up. If you look at the picture, he had the entire right side of Oscar to make a move. If he was truly faster, he had the momentum, then he would have been able to just, let me go on this right side and let me overtake him that way. Obviously, Oscar is still the current championship leader. He was not trying to give anything, so I'm sure, even though the right side was completely open, I'm sure had Lando moved to the right to make the overtake, Oscar would have found a way to play defense on that. Instead, Lando chose to make a move on the left side. On the left side, ended up crashing, wrecking his car, and guess what? Not only were they not going to get a podium, so again, the fight was meaningless, completely meaningless. But now Oscar did pick up some points, right? Finished P4, great, awesome. Lando gets 0. Right? Obviously, the season is far from over. This was round 10, I believe. So they've got about 14 races to keep fighting. We've got Spa coming up. We got Silverstone coming up. So I fully expect the battle with McLaren's to keep heating up, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Whatever. What I guess I just don't understand is like, What was Lando trying to prove? That's it. What was Lando trying to prove? That's literally the only question that I had. Anyways, so maybe I'll come back to that later. It was just very odd. But me going on a tangent about Lando Norris is further proof that once again George Russell's win was eclipsed by everything going on around him. And I believe the last time that George won a race, this was his fourth one, by the way, was Vegas in 2024. And of course, that was when Max capped off another championship season. So forget that. On top of that, people were talking about, oh, Lewis Hamilton came from 10th place and finished a second. Had he qualified higher, he probably would have won that race, which is true, by the way. 100% true. All right. Okay, and so Russell's win was again eclipsed. You go back to the last time before that when Russell won, he was disqualified because he came underweight. The previous time before that when he won that same season, of course, this is all 2024 season. His victory came because Max and Lando crashed into each other, right? So this is the second time George Russell wins where Lando Norris does not finish in the points because he collided with somebody. First Max, then Oscar, right? So let me take time and give George his flowers. George, congratulations. Came back for a second year in a row, got that pole. Last year, you got that pole lap with a minute and 12, 0, 0, 0, 0, whatever it was. Same time as Max, but you got it first. You got the pole, ended up on the podium, didn't win the race. Cool. This year, you got pole even faster. 1 minute 10, and then let me look it up. 1 minute 10 and 899 hundredths, tenths. I don't know. I apologize. I'm not good with maths. All right. Anyways, and so George did the thing, and congrats to him. Congrats to Kimi. All of that. Whatever. Right. The race started and ended with this, well, not with the same, but with basically the same people in the lead. There was some overtakes, but mostly in the midfield. Okay. But you had George coming out, got a great start. Max got a great start, couldn't capitalize. Obviously, it's only 150 meters before you get to the corner, which is where I was sitting. So turn one, obviously, is a slow corner. Oops. Everything was good. Probably the best move out the gate was Antonelli on Piastri. Caught him lacking, passed him, and that was it. Now, what was weird to me is, like, obviously, we talk about Mercedes is a great car when the weather is cold. Either I have a fundamental misunderstanding of what cold is, or F1 races get way hotter than this, because I'm here to tell you, this is now the second time that I'm bringing this up. It was hot in Canada. It was so hot. It was like inexplicably hot. Like, you expect to get burned by the sun when you're in Florida. You expect to get burned by the sun when you're in DR, Dominican Republic, for those who don't know. You expect all of that. When you're in heat, South America, Central America, you're expecting that, right? My dumb fully went into this saying, nah, man, it's Canada. Nah, man, it's only 77 degrees Fahrenheit. That's nothing. Day one, felt that. Day two, fully burned. Day three, actual race, hell on earth. All right. I enjoyed the race, but even slathered up. And I didn't bring a hat. All right. I got a big ass head and I couldn't find a hat to go on this head. All right. Maybe one day. I'm frankly probably just going to make my own bucket hat. Either that or like shave my head and cut all this hair off so I can finally start wearing caps. All right. Anyways, going back to the thing that I was talking about before I got off on this tangent. If Mercedes is good in low temps, then I must have a fundamental misunderstanding of what it was. In any case, that car looked really good throughout the weekend. George, he looked on it during all of the FPs. Great. Max did what he had to do with that Red Bull. So awesome. But yeah, what was weird is that I don't necessarily see Canada or or that circuit as one where you can't do overtaking. You absolutely can do overtaking, but like at least in the front of the field, right? So I'm talking 1 through 7, more or less. Not really a lot of overtaking, barring, of course, Antonelli's move on Piastri in the beginning, right? That is a really, 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 really roundabout way of me saying love being in Canada, love the people that I met, the actual race itself. Wasn't terribly exciting. Okay, see, let me say it with the quietest voice. It was not super exciting. Yeah, no, I don't know what. I'm not sure like what was like what I was expecting. Now, aside from that, like the atmosphere was cool. The fans were really great. Met some really great people. Got to see some like Montreal, beautiful city. What was interesting is that when you're watching the race live, and I know for those of you who've gone to a lot of races, what's very interesting to me is that unlike TV, it is very easy when you're watching a race on TV to know who is where and what is happening. When you're watching the race live, yes, this is an obvious, such an obvious statement. When you are watching the race live, the cars are all jumbled up because they pit at different times. They're all out of order. You have people who are lapped, all of those things, right? You have no idea who, unless you're really paying attention, once you get past, at least for this race, once you got past Lewis Hamilton was when it started to get like jumbled up in terms of like what's going on, who's what. And obviously like the timing board from where I was sitting was like somewhere over here. All right. And so like I knew who was where and what they were doing, right? But like watching the race over here as the cars were coming from the starting line, going into turn one, obviously is a slow speed corner. So they slow down just enough for you to get a look at the cars. Awesome. And then they go out, right? So yeah, just a little note. But yeah, aside from that, it wasn't a terribly exciting race. That don't let that detract you from the fact that I still had an enjoyable time. Right. This is race 1 of 2 that I'll be going to this year. Races that I've been saving up for a long time to go to. I picked Canada because, hey, I feel like it's a good track. I think I definitely will go again. Probably will sit in a different place. I'm not sure what it is I'm looking for in terms of where I want to sit. So I guess at the next race that I attend, which is in a different part of the track, obviously it's also a different track, I'll have a better idea of like, okay, this is where I want to go. Okay, back to the race. So anyways, congratulations once again to George Russell for that victory. Congratulations to Oscar Piastri for having luck and not wrecking his car. Super duper congrats to Kimi Antonelli for getting his first ever podium in F1. Bravo, grande Kimi, grande. Okay. And yeah, Max Verstappen is still hanging around, right? Everyone has said that it is a foregone conclusion that they're going to win, meaning they being the McLarens, right? But Max Verstappen is still hanging around. I don't really know how to say this. Like when I look at the driver standings, Oscar Piastri is sitting at top 198. Lando, it's not out of reach. Again, it is not out of reach at all. Lando is only 22 points behind with 176. Max Verstappen is still hanging around 155, right? So obviously it's not out of reach for Max. And like I said last episode, as long as Oscar and Lando just keep winning, they'll be fine. Yeah, I don't really know. Again, going back to what I was saying, I'm not sure what else to say about what occurred at the race except for Lando. He took full responsibility for it, and I think hopefully this is one of those incidents where he just forgets about it, has goldfish memory, and just like moves on. All right. I want it to be an exciting race between the two. I obviously, if you're watching this podcast, I want Oscar Piastri to win the WEC. If it can't be Lewis Hamilton, I'm all in on Oscar Piastri getting this dub. All right. Full stop. That being said, I want it to be competitive between Lando and Oscar, right? Like I want it to be, hey, it was a hard fought battle, and in the end, the best driver won. Hopefully, Oscar Piastri, right? And obviously, like I'm not going to get a 2008 style season. The points are different. The amount of races are different. The things that are happening, the cars, the rules, all of it, blah 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 blah. Anyways, the last thing I guess that I'm going to say about that is that McLaren has always said, for at least for the last 2 years, that they're going to let these drivers race. That's, race clean but fair. I don't feel like anybody did anything dirty. I don't feel like Oscar should have done anything different. I do feel like Lando should have done something different. Got a little bit desperate. It wasn't even like it was the last lap, which is another thing that's like, it wasn't the last lap. So I'm not sure if he just felt like, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't know if he thought like, okay, if I could get past Oscar, I've got enough laps to go after Kimi Antonelli. I don't know, dog. It just like, it didn't happen. So I'm sure that at the MTC, right, where McLaren is at Woking, they're going to have a conversation and say, hey, blah blah blah, this, that, and the third. They might not, and frankly, like it's not even that I can go either way because I don't feel like they were racing each other aggressively. I thought it was clean. It's getting tight. It's getting tight. All right. The next thing I guess that I will say is the race for Ferrari. Once again, okay, they finished, I believe, 6 and 7, which is okay. I mean, it is literally not okay, but like, let's see. We're gonna be looking at the results. Don't worry, y'all. I was there. Yeah, sorry. 5th and 6. My bad. Apologies. In an otherwise forgettable race. Now, Charles was not able to qualify or out qualify Lewis. Okay, fine, whatever. So Lewis qualified ahead of Charles. Great. But for whatever reason, Lewis Hamilton continues to have some bad luck. His pace was actually matching, if not outpacing Charles up until lap 10 when he ran over a groundhog. And he lost, essentially got some damage to the floor and was essentially losing 5 points of downforce every lap. So every lap, Lewis Hamilton was about 500th of a second slower, right? And it showed, okay? Because when you were watching that race live, all those cars, zooming by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get to Lewis, and he was about, at that time before the safety car, something like 25 seconds behind Charles, right? So, and then behind him was Ocon, and at some, not Ocon, but Fernando Alonso, and he was far off too, right? Which, by the way, in spite of that car having some damage, it was still in good enough position to create a gap. But otherwise, it was just like a very, very, very lonely race for Ferrari. Obviously, going into this race, the conversation around Ferrari had a lot to do with Charles Leclerc doesn't want to be on this team. Lewis Hamilton is being too blunt with the team and it's causing him issues, blah, blah, blah. Fred Vasseur is going to get replaced by Christian Horner. I hope not, frankly. All of these things were being said about the team. They got out there and they performed. I don't know if the car, who knows? If the car had been fast enough, maybe the best they could have done was a third place finish. I have no idea. The car came with no upgrades. So the upgrades are coming. Supposedly, we'll see. My question obviously is like, when are they going to turn the corner and talk about the 2026 and go full steam ahead with the 2026 car? Obviously, they've most likely already started developing, but just focus all of their attention on 2026 car. I, for one, cannot wait until the 2026 season. The obvious reason why is because new rules, and hopefully this new set of rules suits the driver that I cheer for better, but also to smaller, lighter cars. We'll see, right? But in any case, Lewis hit that groundhog, that gopher, whatever, that marmot, whatever you call it. And that was his race. That was literally his race. Aside from weird strategy, like they pit him super early and into traffic, then they pitted him when they didn't need to. So it was bad. Charles, same thing. They pit him super early, then they pitted him in front of like the whole thing was a disaster class. Now, the one thing that I will say is in spite of the PR that is happening right now with Lewis Hamilton's race engineer and everybody saying like, no, like not everybody, but no, they're good. They're just learning to communicate. Realistically speaking, if they want, I think, better results, I am not sure Lewis is establishing the relationship that he wants with Ricardo Adami, right? The communication is not there. In spite of Lewis saying, hey, this is actually the information that I want, crickets. Lewis asked him like, hey, why am I so far behind? Crickets. Hey, my brakes are messed up. Yeah, crickets, until he like brings it up again and essentially saying, yeah, you're right, we're noticing the stuff with the brake, just try to deal with it. And I know a lot of people got mad with that comment, but it's kind of like, yeah, you can't take the freaking wheels off, change the brakes, and yeah, obviously that would be pointless. So I don't know. I don't know if that relationship lasts another season. I wouldn't be super shocked if it didn't last even towards the end of the season. But I think if they're going to do it, they got to pull that trigger quick, and they got to bring somebody in that Lewis obviously like either communicates with better or just gets along with better. Not to say that Lewis doesn't get along with him, but I think the learning curve here, I don't even feel like it's on Lewis's part. I think it's just Adami is not just giving him the information that he needs. Obviously, they can't bring Bono in from Mercedes because Bono just got promoted, right? The career trajectory and the path that he has at Mercedes is looking up in comparison to, like, why would he move to Ferrari to remain an engineer with Lewis? And obviously the relationship's great and you understand that, but where's the career path after that, right? So then when Lewis retires in X amount of years, then what is Bono going to remain at Ferrari? Like, so yeah, I understand. Either way, if they're going to make the move for a new race engineer for Lewis, they got to pull that trigger quick so that he starts to get acclimated to the new guy in time for next season, and then the relationship just rolls over. Otherwise, we just need to see improvements from the level of communication that those two have. And yes, heavy on the Adami side. So, yeah, so that was Ferrari's race toast. Williams wasn't terrible. I mean, Carlos Sainz finished in the points. Albon, unfortunately, DNF'd. Okay. Alonso got some points. Hulkenberg got some points. Ocon got some points. But yeah, again, the race itself, a lot of overtakes in the midfield. Cool. Lando Norris crashing at the end caused some drama. Interesting to note, and by the way, I'm surprised I didn't get Blaze on this for the video. It is interesting to note that you can finish the race under a safety car. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But yeah, in the video, I think I said, oh, interesting to note that you can finish the race on under a racing car. I know a wheel. All right, everybody relax. And yes, there's still things I got to learn, but just cut me some slack. All right. But yeah, other than that, the race was pretty much great experience, but the actual racing itself, like had I been watching this on TV, I probably would have been like, oh, okay. So yeah, now I guess like just briefly talking about the experience. So being at the Canadian Grand Prix, it was great. The atmosphere was really great. Obviously, like there's videos out where people were fighting. Obviously, there was issues with people on track. Once the race was over, where they got stuck on the track or they didn't know how to get out, or yeah, it was really weird. But like for me, yeah, probably the only thing that I would do very, very, very different is just wear a lot of sunblock and buy a freaking hat. All right. Obviously, I knew what the weather was going to be like, so I knew it wasn't going to rain. So that was all on me. A lot of walking, just a lot of walking. Not more than I expected, but like from my entrance to essentially where my seat was in turn one, it was exactly a mile. right? So it took just walk the mile to get there. Um, but yeah, it was crazy seeing those cars in person. The colors in person are way more vivid than on TV, understandably so. Specifically looking at like the orange on McLaren is way more vivid in real life than it is on TV. Same thing with like the orange highlights on Red Bull's car and the Racing Bulls cars. So yeah, the food was very, very, very decently priced. Like it was not like an Austin situation where you're paying $16 for a slice of pizza. It was very like convenient. There was a lot of stands. They had free water. You could bring your own water in. And obviously my experience is the experience of a plebeian, right? Because I didn't have those paddock passes. One day, maybe, I don't know, if I just have that to just splurge, okay, whatever. So did that. And then yeah, I mean, aside from like the sun, honestly, in the shade, it wasn't that bad. The city was beautiful, atmosphere was great. I met some really great people, people that some people I knew and then new people. So it was really great. This is where I give a shout out, by the way. It was really great to see my boy Medrano from the Entrando Pits podcast. He was at that race, which was really great. Also, really great to see my girl Sandra, aka Joe en la F1. So that was great. She goes to F1, specifically Canada, like religiously almost every year. So it was good to see them in person. Met some of their friends. So shouts out to Gianni, shouts out to Emmanuel, two really chill people that I met there, great friendships, all of that. So again, while the race itself, not terribly exciting, I just give this one as a misnomer and 100% on these ground effect rules. But again, George did the thing. Some drama at the end made it worth it. Walked the track afterwards. Got to see great people. Yeah, I definitely would go again. Maybe get some different seats. Yeah. So that is it. I wish I could give y'all a more in-depth analysis, but obviously, because it's already been a week, there's been a lot of storylines and a lot of things that have happened since then, and everything y'all would have already seen. By the way, if you're still watching at this point, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. It is absolutely free. It costs you nothing to do that, and of course, it just gives me some support if you do that. But yeah, that is it. The next race obviously is Austria, which is going to be next Sunday. After that, it is Silverstone. Super excited about Silverstone because for that one, no, I won't be there. But I will be in DR watching the race there. So that'll be pretty cool. But aside from that, yeah, that's it. I'm not even going to do Pariwaju Matatan because I only do that when I have guests on. Hopefully next time for Austria, for sure, I'll probably have somebody on here. But that is it for my Canadian GP race review. Again, George, congratulations. My boy Jorge, you did it, man. Kimi, congrats. All right. That's the flowers, George. Good luck, Boyle. You really love racing in North America, or at least this side of the world, because all of your victories, except for one, have been on this side of the world. So, yeah, that is it. As always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Please, 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 please tell your mommies, your papis, your tios, your tias, vecinos, that's neighbors, if you don't speak Spanish. For the Monoplaza F1 podcast, this is Emi Bertre. Peace.